Hello and welcome to this B2B sales and marketing workshop. Now, before we get into this, I want to make sure that you are in the right place. My name is James TUCKERMAN, and I'm a co-founder of the B2B Group, which is the parent company of the B2B School, B2B Dash, B2B Advance, B2B Hub, B2B Insights. Can you see a common theme? The common theme is B2B, which of course stands for business to business. And we specialize in helping businesses that are business to business style businesses get better at sales and marketing. B2B stands for business to business as opposed to business to consumer. And if you're in the B2B space, what you do and how you sell is going to be a little bit different. Let's break it down. Now, in B2B, you sometimes are selling a thing, but most of the time you're selling something else. So B2B, unlike B2C, you're not selling $9 umbrellas, right? You're not selling a cheap plate of sushi. You're selling something a little bit different. I want to hear from you guys and gals. If you are not selling a thing, give me a word. What indeed are you selling if you're in the B2B space? If you're not selling a thing, what is it that you're selling? And even, here's a hot tip, even if you are selling a thing, are you really selling a thing? What are you selling? Now, Graham has said service. Brian has said knowledge and results. Babak has said selling privilege. Okay, that's interesting. When it comes to B2B, what I often find is that in most instances, we are not selling a thing, or even if we are selling a thing, the reality at the end of the day is that we are selling outcomes. That's something that we all share. So if you are selling knowledge, or if you are selling a service, or Jack's very specific, freight forwarding, which does sound like a thing, the reality is in the B2B space, you are almost always selling an outcome. That is something that you are selling. Now, also in B2B, as I said, we usually are not selling a $9 umbrella. And if we are, we might be selling 1,000 units of that $9 umbrella, and the package will be a $9,000 package because it will be B2B rather than business to consumer. So what is the opposite of small ticket? Let me know what you think the opposite of small ticket is. By the way, the more you get involved, the more you will get out of our time together. So in B2B, we're usually selling outcomes. We're not usually selling small ticket. We are usually selling, thank you, Graham, for piping up, who said big ticket. Now, what indeed is big ticket? Amanda said high ticket. What is big ticket? Is $5 big ticket? Is $10 big ticket? Is $100 big ticket? Is $100,000 big ticket? What we have found is that at this point in the evolution of business and sales and marketing, high ticket is anything over $1,600, anything greater than $1,600. And the reason for that, and I know that there's going to be people on the call right now going, that's not very big, that's not high ticket. The reason why we say $1,600 is that at this point, if it's over $1,600, the sale is usually going to need to involve some sort of conversation. If it's under $1,600, you can sell whatever it is that you're selling most of the time with a long form landing page or a detailed description on your website, or off the back of a webinar or an infomercial or something like that. But anything above $1,600 at this point seems to require a conversation. Not always. And it's the same with under $1,600. Sometimes that requires a conversation too. But that seems to be the threshold. That seems to be the inflection point. So if we're in B2B, we're usually selling outcomes. We're usually selling bigger ticket. And in B2C, most deals are fairly transactional. Everybody's concerned about the dollars and cents. How much is it? But in the B2B space, most deals are not especially transactional. Sometimes they are. Deals usually come down to another word that begins with T, and that is trust. So most of the time, we're not selling things. We're not even selling services. We're selling outcomes. It's usually bigger ticket. And when I say 1,600 as the inflection point, I'm usually talking about in the first month or when the first transaction takes place. Because often in the B2B space, we might have a product ecosystem where we sign someone up for this product, and then we introduce another one. Then we might introduce a recurring revenue model. But 1,600 is the first transaction. And we're not necessarily, we don't want to be caught up in a cost competitive game, as is often the case in the B2C space. People know how much a plate of sushi is supposed to be. They've got a reasonable idea of what an umbrella is, whether it's a $9 umbrella or a $900 umbrella. But when it comes to B2C, deals are not necessarily as transactional. Deals are often built from a foundation of trust. Outcomes, high ticket, trust. All right, on the left of the screen right now, you can see something that we call our UOT Matrix. And UOT stands for the ultimate online transaction. Now, over the last 10, 20 years, we've seen a complete revolution in the way that business is done. And that is a lot of business is now concluded online. So when I say ultimate online transaction, I'm talking about the last stage in the journey online as a business owner or a business operator. So on this left of the screen right now, we can see an indice called buyer comfort. And this is how comfortable someone is when it comes to making some sort of decision with you. And along the bottom, we've got seller complexity, which comes down to how easy or hard it is for somebody to do some sort of deal. So at this point in the evolution of business, I'm going to just drop in some typical ultimate online transactions for different industries. Bottom left, buyer comfort, seller complexity. I'm going to throw in something down here just called e-commerce. Are you familiar with an e-commerce transaction? Yeah, someone goes to a website, tappity, 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 tap, and they buy something, right? For the seller, the complexity is not particularly hard at this point. It's fairly easy to set up an online shop. From the buyer's perspective, as long as it's smaller ticket, under $1,600, most people are fairly comfortable jumping on a website these days, tappity, 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 tap, buying something. I remember a couple of years back, I was driving in the car with my wife. This was before we had kids. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm just buying some shoes." And that was mind blowing for me. The e-commerce landscape had been shifted. So that's one industry it's fairly familiar. Now we got another one here, which is what about retail or hospitality? What's the ultimate online transaction in that industry? Maybe it's a restaurant, or maybe it's also a retail shop that is not yet into e-commerce. If you're in that particular space, your ultimate online transaction is something called a coupon. And that means that somebody just goes online, they download the coupon, and it can be measured, which is great. An ultimate online transaction should be measured. And for a buyer, they have to give up a little bit more information. It's really surprising, thinking, shouldn't I do this? And from the seller's point of view, the complexity is fairly simple. Once again, it's easy to set something up like that. Now, guys and gals, there are only 4 ultimate online transactions on the interwebs. Only 4 types of ultimate, meaning it's the final, online, it's online transaction. It's something that can be measured in the broader online sales and marketing multiverse. There can be an e-commerce sale. There can be a coupon. It's the final step before somebody then maybe goes into the shop and does it online. And there are only 4. The one in the bottom right-hand corner is a fairly unusual one. We call it the outgoing click. The outgoing click might be like a media company where somebody goes to the media company's website, they read the articles, and then they click on an ad and they leave. And that particular business makes its money from the outgoing click. It's the ultimate online final transaction. It could be a referral site or a comparison site, like some of those credit card comparison sites or home insurance comparison websites. It's the outgoing click. And I'm not going to go into that in a whole lot of detail because it's a fairly unusual model. I think we're all familiar with coupons and e-commerce. You're now familiar with the outgoing click. And there's one more that I want to add. Are you ready? We call this the inbound VAS And VIP does not stand for very important person. VIP stands for very interested prospect. And that's when somebody comes into your world and they book a phone call with you, maybe a phone call, maybe a Zoom call. They might even book a face-to-face meeting with you. But we call this the inbound VIP. And it's wonderful when it's a very interested prospect because usually they know what they're on about, they know what they want, and it's usually a pretty good informed conversation. So here's my question for you. I have got 4 examples of ultimate online transactions. And if you want to level up your sales and marketing, it's really great to know what your end goal is. Here is what I want from you. Which do you think is the most important ultimate online transaction in your world, in your business right now? What is the most? Now you might be, you might be using one or more of these in your business. So for example, in our business, we make money from the Outgoing Click, we make money from e-commerce, and we also make money from the inbound VIP. We do very little with coupons. But however, I don't want you to write 1, 2, and 3. Maybe let's just make it easier for you. So what I'll do here is I'll write 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you don't have to type a complete word. If you just want to type a number, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one of these is most important to you? What I'm doing here is I'm asking you to think about your end goal. I'm trying to get you to get a little bit more clarity about what you want from your time with me today, right now. So Graham said inbound VIP. B says inbound VIP, so did David. And then Debbie said 2, and Bridget said 2, and Brian said inbound very interested prospect. I got a 2, a 2, a 2, a 2, VIP 2. This is terrific because I brought this up and I have this slide. As I said right from the beginning, I want to make sure that you guys and gals are in the right place. So if you are feeling that you are in the business of selling outcomes that are reasonably high ticket, where deals are based on trust, and your ultimate online transaction, your sales and marketing strategy should result in an inbound VIP, you are definitely in the right place. That's terrific. And if that's not you, that's totally fine. If you're in the business of retail or hospitality where somebody wants to download a coupon, or maybe you're selling the outgoing click, if that's you, you don't need to hang around. You can leave and you can focus on other things because time is precious. And I want to make sure that we are delivering value to the people that are going to get the highest value from their time with me today. So why is B2B different? It's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more complex. There are a couple more steps, and that's because we're selling outcomes that are usually big ticket based on trust. There are only so many ways that we can manage and control the online relationship. But if your goal is the inbound VIP, you're going to get a lot more clarity. What's this third bit here? North Star metrics. Now, I want you to continue to play along to the best of your ability. I've got a little bit of a chart on the screen right now. What I would do is I'd invite you to pull out a pen and paper. If you've got pen and paper handy, please do that. If you don't, when I ask you a question, tap it out on the screen, or as a bare minimum, say it out loud. So on the left of the screen, we have a metric, which is monthly new clients. And we're talking about your goals. So I've got 2 goals here. The first on the left is how many new clients you need in any given month just to stay in business, just to keep the lights on, just to pay your salary or the salaries of your staff, to cover your overheads, to pay the rent, whatever it is in your particular world. There is going to be a number about how many clients you're going to need in any given month. So that is the need. It's the basic minimum threshold, the minimum. But then there's also a number, which is the number of clients that you desire. And this is the number of clients that you want if you want to be able to have good margin, at least enough margin to be able to grow and scale and create a comfortable, successful business. So I want to hear from you, and I want 2 different answers. Indeed, I want 2 different numbers. How many clients do you need in any given month just to get by? That's the first number. The second number is how many clients do you want in any given month to grow a crack-a-lackin' business? I want 2 numbers. Get involved to the best of your abilities. The more you get involved, the more you will get out of our time together. This is an online workshop. Even if you are listening to a recording, get involved to the best of your abilities. So for example, Brian said 2 is the minimum and he wants 10. That's terrific. Big fat virtual round of applause for Brian for getting in there. I think that he was the first one. Oh no, Tom was the first one. He needs 5 and he wants 10. Barry needs 5 and it wants 11. James says 25 to 40. Christine, 5 to 10, 5 to 10. Need 1, want 3. Need 1, want 4. And then we've got another one, which is a 1 and a 4. I'm going to keep it really, really simple so our maths brains don't explode. And I'm going to say, let's say we need 4 and we want 8. Cool. So we need 4 in any given month and we want 8. So we need to close 1 a week in any given month, but we want 8, which would be 2 per week. Here is my next question for you. What do you suspect is your meeting close rate? So what I mean by that is out of every, say, 2 meetings, how many do you close? Out of every 4 meetings, how many do you close? Out of every 8 meetings, how many do you close? Out of every 16 meetings, how many do you close? So what I want to hear from you is I want to hear your close rate. It's usually like a 1 in 3 or a 1 in 4 or a 1 in 6. So Nick has said 1 in 5. Alejandro, hope I said that right, says 1 in 10. B says that it's 1 in 16. Graham says it's 1 in 2. I've got a 1 in 3, a 1 in 5, a 1 in 4. What I tend to find is that if you've been around the block a few times, it's usually around 1 in 4. And that is because I know I see a couple of people saying 1 in 3 and 1 in 2. As business owners, we're gamblers, right? We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have a little bit of a gambler in us. And gamblers only remember the wins. That's why they're gamblers. They only remember the wins. So we have a lot of people that come into our world and they say, you know what? If I get them on the phone, I close them almost 100% of the time, right? And then we go, oh, what about the people that weren't ready? Oh yeah, but they weren't ready. Or what about that one? No, that was their spouse said no. They were into it. What about that person? Oh no, they needed to go on vacation, right? If you actually track this stuff, you probably find that it's going to be somewhere around 1 in 4. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons for that. That's if you've been around the block a few times, but I can also see we've got a couple of people that are 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 or 1 in higher. I would say if it is higher than 1 in 10, there are probably some parts of the systems that you are using to attract and nurture those clients that are a little bit broken. And that is because the best conversations are with inbound VIPs, very interested prospects. So let's say it's 1 in 4. This is cool because if you know what you need and what you want, and if you know your meeting close rate, you can come up with something amazing, which is your North Star metrics. And what that means is that if we need 4 and we know our close rate is 1 in 4, we will need a minimum of 16 meetings in any given month to hit our goal. Does that make sense? 16 meetings, you'll close 1 in 4, right? Which is 4, and then you'll hit your bare minimum goal for the month. If you want 8 and you know your close rate is 1 in 4, you are going to need to book 32 meetings in any given month to hit your goal. I hope that you are playing along and I hope that you are doing this with me right now. And the reason is, this is incredible and I hope that you appreciate this. You could hire an expensive management consultant to come into your business and work with you individually over the course of a complete half day. And at the end of that, they will probably come and say, based on my informed, educated opinion, if you want to turn the dial or move the dial in your business, you are going to need a minimum of 16 meetings in any given month, or you are going to need a minimum of 32 meetings in any given month. And this gives you something very, very important and useful. And that there is clarity. It's a metric that you can work with. And that means that if you know that your ultimate online transaction is an inbound VIP, and you know that you need 16 or 32 or whatever in any given month, every time somebody comes to you and they say, I think that you should do this, or I think that you should do that. Maybe you should write a book. Maybe you should start a Facebook group. Maybe you should kick off a blog. You can take a step back and ask yourself, is this going to help me achieve my goal of, say, 16 VIPs in any given week? Woohoo! We are off, guys and gals, to a fantastic start. Indeed, we're here to talk about how to sell by Zoom. And as I get into it, I'm going to be revealing the building blocks of our B2B application funnel formula. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about creating a scenario where people are applying to meet with you. So if I ran through those metrics and you've written on your notepad, OMG, I need 16, but I'm only getting 4. That seems out of control. Or maybe you've written your notes and you say, listen, I need 20 meetings to get, I need 20 clients to get by, 5 a week, but I'm closing 1 in 10. OMG, I'm going to need 200 meetings. I just don't have enough time in the day to make that possible. Well, today I'm going to be talking about a couple different things as I run through the B2B application formula. But one of those things is making sure that you are meeting with the right people. So your close rate is going to be a little bit better, and also setting you up with the systems that you need to book those meetings in the first place. Excellent. So we're here for the right reasons. I hope you can tell me. Since we're talking about Zoom, in your opinions, what's the hardest thing about selling via Zoom? In your own personal experience, I would like to hear from you. What do you think is the hardest thing about selling via Zoom? What do you reckon? Is it, I don't know, is it the technology? Babak has said front-facing camera. Is it like, having this conversation like there? Is it the weirdness of the awkwardness of that? Neville says building trust. B says establishing trust and credibility. Graham says the meeting structure. It's interesting that Graham should say that. And that is because the other thing about selling by Zoom is that it can sometimes feel a little bit weird and awkward. And James has used the word connecting. So sometimes we might feel disconnected. Let me run through some of the most common challenges that I have found that people face when selling by Zoom. But before that, I want to congratulate everyone who has participated so far. And I want to congratulate you because you have unlocked our participation bonus. Now, a little bit earlier, I said that the more you get involved, the more you are going to get from your time with me today. Not only when you get involved are you more likely to reinforce the lesson in your head, not only are you more likely to reinforce the lesson in your head, which is going to make it more likely that you're going to take action, because when you take action, you create momentum. And when you create momentum, guess what? You create more momentum, and that's when real outcomes happen. Not only will you get all that value by simply deciding to participate, but I'm going to reward you with free gifts. How awesome is that? Woohoo, says James Reed. Trophy achieved. So if you have not yet participated and you want to unlock this awesome participation bonus, the ultimate persuasion and influence checklist, I'm going to ask you again one more time, what's the hardest thing about selling via Zoom? And I want to see some new names like Christine and Kimberly and Debbie. Well done. Here's what I have found to be the 3 most common challenges. Number 1, getting the meeting in the first place. Sure, I can teach you all sorts of cool stuff about Zoom, but you know what? That's going to be a real problem if you can't get the meeting in the first place. Yeah? It's a really big challenge, getting those inbound VIPs. Thank you for getting involved, Barry and Tanya. That's a big one, getting the meetings in the first place. Number 2, do you sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed by the technology? Suddenly we need a microphone and a camera. Mind you, the microphone and camera are usually already built into your laptop, right? Sometimes you see people do cool stuff where they draw funny things on an iPad and it appears on the screen. Not entirely necessary. That's advanced stuff. Just helps when you've done it a few times. People can tend to get a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to the technology. And usually it's not technology that's at fault, or even our fear of technology that's at fault. It usually comes down to a lack of systems. Technology just keeps getting better and easier to use. It's usually the lack of underpinning systems underneath those technologies that usually cause us to fall down. All right, getting meetings in the first place, tech tool overwhelm. What about the actual selling piece? Do you feel intimidated when it comes to, I don't know, introducing your product and service to new people for the first time in a way that is compelling enough for them to actually say, yeah, I want it? Is that a challenge that you sometimes face? Do you fear coming across as someone with sales breath that comes across a little bit desperate? Are you terrified of somebody going, no, I do not want it. I do not want what it is that you have. So Kim says, yeah, that's the hardest part. Here's what I want to ask you. If we could flip that, if you were getting those meetings in a regular, consistent way, if the technology was set up so that it was largely managing itself, freeing you up to focus on the things that really, really matter, if you were stepping into those calls, knowing exactly what you needed to do, knowing exactly how you wanted to structure the call, even having a really good solid idea of what your conversion or close rate was going to be off the back of those calls, how would that make you feel? And I'm looking for one word or two words. Let me know. Tell me, how would that make you feel? Confident. Thank you, Kimberly. Relieved, says Nick. Prepared, says Debbie. When you're prepared, you feel confident. I tell you that. Relieved, trust in myself, and definite more confidence. I love what you're saying. Keep them coming. Once again, there are participation bonuses. I was looking at something that we call our pre-training checklist. And we have a group of people that we support privately. We call these people B2B Blazers. And once a week, we have a group mentoring call, and we talk about things like sales, marketing, technology, scale. And before those calls, we invite everyone to complete an online checklist, a pre-group mentoring call checklist. And we ask a bunch of questions like what's working, what's not, all sorts of things like that. And a woman called Louise dropped a comment in our pre-training checklist. I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago. And I loved it. She said, I am finally feeling like I love this, decision clarity. I'm finally feeling like I have decision clarity. And I love that, because as business owners, we spend a lot of time wondering where we should focus our attention, what we should do next, how we should spend our time and money, where we should direct our effort, our focus. But Louise had something brilliant, decision clarity. And when you have decision clarity, you feel confident, you feel relieved, you feel less stressed, you feel like you are killing it because you know what it is that you need to do. You spend far less time worrying or second guessing or fretting or just trying to figure out how to solve the problems that are facing you. Which is why I began our time together in the way that I did. I wanted to make sure that I have the right people on the call, and I wanted to deliver something that I think is pretty important and a little bit magical. And that was your North Star metrics. Because in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year's time, there are certain things from this call that you're going to remember. And those are things like your ultimate online transaction and your North Star metrics, because it is the fundamentals that make a business crack-a-lackin' successful. Fundamentals are fun. They should not send you mental, which is why today I want to give you something called decision clarity. Now, at this point, you're thinking, who is this guy? If you've been part of our world for some time, you're probably familiar with me, but if you're part of our world and you're arriving here for the first time, you might be wondering, who is this guy with this strange accent? It's Australian. with his funny B2B hat, full of energy, pointing you in a direction which you may not have intended to visit today, but however is more important than the broader topic. Who is this guy, James TUCKERMAN? I could be, I don't know, I could be a 20-something running a business from the spare bedroom of my parents' home, selling $17 ebooks, getting rich off $17 ebooks. Do you want to buy my crypto course? I could be, I don't know, I could be like one of those 1980s or 1990s sales trainers, you know, with the shiny suit and the power tie and all those sayings like ABC, always be closing, look within to lock them in. No, I'm neither of those people. I'm a real person who's been running real businesses in the real world for just over 20 years. Indeed, my first big venture was a print magazine called Anthill Magazine that was made of paper and ink and was sold in newsagents and airports and Borders bookshops and Barnes and Noble all over the world. I started that business in my 20s. I funded it using credit cards and savings, and it went all right. We won Best Magazine Launch of the Year. I was named Best Small Publisher in Australia twice, and we ended up nipping at the heels of the market leaders in our space. Before the GFC arrived, Steve Jobs launched the first commercially available tablet. Google decided to demonstrate to people that marketing could be measurable. And we transitioned that business into a pure 100% online business. But during that time, I learned how to do merchandising in retail shops. I learned how to do direct mail, which was the forerunner to internet marketing. And I learned how to sell big fat advertising packages, which are really, really hard. But I learned something important and significant. Systems equal sanity. If you want decision clarity, you need systems, and that's where we have started today. I'm obviously passionate. I get fired up. Why do I get so passionate and fired up? Well, largely because of these people, my beautiful wife and my wonderful children. Like you, I went down my own entrepreneurial path. I started a business. I launched into my own business ownership journey because I wanted to have control over my life. I wanted to have control over my destiny rather than just be told what to do by somebody else. And as a result of that, I've been able to experience something wonderful that a lot of other people don't have, and that's called freedom. So I'm going to put something in here. Automation equals freedom. Systems equals sanity. Automation equals freedom. It's very difficult these days to run a business unless you're willing and able to embrace automation. I also do what I do for these amazing people. So this is just a bit of a screen grab of some of the people in our broader community. We have several hundred people going through our training programs at any given time. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, one of the things that we do for our people is we have group mentoring calls, and we love supporting people just like you. That gets us off. The thing that gets me off is delivering what we call breakthrough moments. Yes, systems equals sanity, automation equals freedom, and community equals clarity. And we're back to that idea called decision clarity. So I want to share a story from those years ago, many, many moons ago, when I was running that business called Anthill Magazine. And this is going to inform our discussion in a really big way. Many, many moons ago, I found myself having a conversation with a guy called George. Now, George was an investor in my business, a super smart dude, and he shared with me a piece of advice that I'm going to share with you right now that's going to help you avoid making a ton of mistakes. And this piece of advice was a game changer for me. It was a breakthrough moment for me. It was one of those moments where my brain went, and it's extremely important as it relates to what it is that we are talking about today. George sat me down one day and he said, James, would you like to know how to win an AFL premiership? That's what he said. Now, AFL stands for Australian Football League, and Australian football in Australia is kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a second religion, all right? An informal religion. But what he was really saying is, would you like to know how to win the Super Bowl or the World Cup, whatever your code or passion in sport might be? Now, me, I'm not particularly passionate about sport. I find other ways to get my adrenaline fix, like running a business. But George was actually on the board of a very successful football club at the time called the Western Bulldogs. And the Western Bulldogs had just done a complete turnaround, and they defied a whole bunch of odds, and they'd achieved some amazing things. And George is also an amazing serial entrepreneur. So when George said to me, James, would you like to know how to win an AFL Premiership or the Super Bowl or the World Cup? I said, yes, George, please tell me. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine a pyramid. I want you to imagine a pyramid, a triangle. Can you see that? Can you see it in your mind's eye? Now, you don't need to see it in your mind's eye because I've drawn it on the screen for you right here, right now. He says, I want you to break that triangle into 3 parts. And these are the things that you are going to need if you want to win an AFL Premiership, the Super Bowl, the World Cup. He said, first and foremost, you are going to need fundamentals. And in the field of sport, that means that you are going to need players that can run. They are fast, they are fit, they are strong. They can perform the fundamental aspects of the game. So for example, they can handball. Yes, they can kick the ball. If it's soccer, they can do amazing things with their feet. If it's American football and it's the Super Bowl, you've got people that are strong, that can knock other people over and also run fast or throw the ball really, really hard. They've got to have the fundamentals. I say, cool. I appreciate that, George. I understand that. You're also going to need talent and strategy. Talent and strategy. So you need the best talent that you can possibly afford, and you need to have a clear strategy that you can use to direct the talent. Now, when it comes to running your own business, you are by and large the most important talents that you've got, but you're also going to need strategy, talent and strategy. James, would you like to know what's at the top of the triangle? Guys and gals, would you like to know what's at the top of the triangle? I said, at the top of the triangle is something brilliant and marvelous called flair. My handwriting is terrible. That says the word flair, F-L-A-I-R. At the top is flair. And we all know flair when we see it. It's what makes things like sport so amazing and fascinating and such a joy to watch. It's like when in AFL, someone kicks a ball over their shoulder just as the siren blares. It's like when someone gets that touchdown just as the game was lost. It's the same that somebody blocks that goal to win the World Cup. And we all know flair and we all love it. And it makes things really, really exciting. You need fundamentals. You need team and strategy. You need flair. That is what you need, James, to win a premiership. I said, cool. Thanks, George. But I knew that the lesson wasn't quite over, because it was at that point that George said to me, you know what though? When I look at your business, do you know what I see? I see an upside down pyramid. That's what I see, James, when I look at your business. I see an upside down pyramid, all flair, almost no fundamentals. That's what I see. And if I was to come up your business, over to your business and give it one gentle little nudge, your business is going to collapse. And George was absolutely right. And that is because externally, we looked like we were kicking goals. You know, we were winning awards. We were producing this amazing magazine. People were loving us. People were stopping me in the street. I was being invited to speak at events. It was amazing. But behind the scenes, the magazines weren't going out on time. If magazines didn't go out on time, we couldn't invoice our advertisers on time. If we didn't invoice our advertisers on time, our staff weren't getting paid on time. And if our staff weren't getting paid on time, the business would very quickly collapse. When a lot of people come into our world, it's fairly obvious fairly quickly based on the types of questions that we are being asked, is that there are a lot of businesses out there that are built on flair with very few fundamentals. Today, I want to help you build a rock solid pyramid, a rock solid triangle. And we're going to be talking about 3 very important ingredients if you want to sell using tools like Zoom or face-to-face or over the phone or whatever mechanism you want to choose. And those very important 3 ingredients are the offer, the systems, and indeed the soft skills. And guess what, guys and gals? The font is directly proportionate to their impact. And while people spend a lot of time asking me about the soft skills or asking me about the systems, where do you think might be the best place to start? The offer. And this is our agenda today. We're going to focus on these 3 things. Then I'm going to introduce a way that you might be interested in working with us. And then I'm going to finish up on one big fat game changer. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my story. But one thing that I think is the most important of all is that based on that background, based on that situation, based on that scenario, we get to watch about 30 to 50 B2B campaigns launch in any given month. We get to see what's working, we get to see what's not working, and we all get to profit together. It's a very exciting type of business to run. And if you're interested, I'd love to have you as part of our world. But for now, the offer, the systems, the soft skills. So on the screen right now, you can see Kath. Kath says, I'm closing as early as the first conversation. I just had my best month ever. Plus I signed my first international client. Borders have become meaningless. My potential client base has exploded thanks to your training. How did that happen? Now, we are talking about a month that was a very bad month throughout most of the Western world. It was the height of the COVID pandemic, and Kath was closing as early as the first conversation. She just had her best month ever. She signed her first international client. One of the most important things that she'd been able to nail down was her offer. Indeed, her reason for why anyone should meet with her in the first place. So let's talk about that. Most people that I come across are stuck in what we call the B and P phase. They want to book more meetings. They definitely want to book more meetings, but they are stuck in the B and P phase, which stands for begging and pleading. Begging and pleading. Hey, let's catch up and explore ways that we can work together. Hey, let's catch up and explore ways that I might be able to take your money. Let's catch up and see if we can support each other in any way. Babek has just said, that's me, B and P. Now, I want to flip that, or at least move you forward into a stage that we call the AWP stage. AWP stands for Appointments with Purpose. So Joe says here, I've just experienced something I thought was never possible. A personal inquiry from a top CEO. LinkedIn is a game changer. I'm so grateful for your help. I'm finally feeling like I am the prize. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Joe has become the prize. She graduated from begging and pleading to a point where she was able to embrace a strategy that we call the AWP, the Appointment with Purpose. So let's get into that. Who, guys and gals, wants to play a game? Do you like to play games? Give me a ya, give me a whoo, give me a yee, give me a hi-oh. Who likes to play a game? Would you like to play a game with me? This is called Catchy or Crappy. Now, games are very, very important because games are low risk. There is no risk to playing a game, but games reveal how we think and behave in the real world. Yes, in real life situation where the stakes are high. So wouldn't it be better to use games to think about how you think and behave and react so that you can self-assess the way that you view the world and the ways that you might conduct yourself so that when the stakes are higher, you're more aware? I hope so. I can see, yes, yeehaw, oi, yep, sure. All right, this game is called Catchy or Crappy. I'm going to share a bunch of different messages that were sent to me via LinkedIn by people that wanted to meet with me. They wanted my time. They wanted my attention. All you need to do is tell me whether the message is catchy or crappy. It's catchy if they caught me and we actually had the meeting. Cool? It's as simple as that if we had the meeting. Let's start with the left. Hi, James. It's been a long time, but I wonder if you remember us working together when I was at blah, many, many moons ago. I've now recently joined the tech startup space and I'm working for blah. I'm also now in Sydney. Be keen to chat at some point if you're about. Cheers, Michelle. Now, Michelle is someone who I know and someone who I like. Tell me, guys and gals, is this one on the left catchy or crappy? Did Michelle get the meeting? That's all I want to hear from you. And while you're answering, let's have a look. I've got crappy, catchy, crappy, crappy, and crappy. That's interesting. What about this one on the right? Hi, James. I'm actually down to Melbourne on the 22nd of August and wondering if you'd like to catch up for a coffee after and have a chat. Always open to learning from successful entrepreneurs like yourself. Oh, shucks. Flattery will get you everywhere. Or we can talk about the internet or social media and YouTube. What do we reckon? So far, it looks like most people have thought that the one on the left was crappy. I think I've seen a couple catchies, and it seems that one person thinks that the one on the right is catchy, but most people, maybe two, think that it's crappy. Well, guess what? Both of these were crappy. And they were crappy because the meeting never happened. These came from people who I like and I respect, but the meeting never happened. And why did the meeting never happen? Because they both lacked purpose. Why, Michelle, do you want to catch up? I'd love to catch up with you. You're keen to catch up. I was interested in catching up. I like your company, Michelle, but the meeting had no purpose, or at least Michelle was unable to articulate what the purpose was. Now, the person on the right said, hey, we can talk about the internet or social media or YouTube. Let's just shoot the breeze, Mr. Tuckerman. Now, I like shooting the breeze as much as the next guy, but the meeting lacked purpose. And I'm a busy guy, so those meetings never happened. What about these ones? On the left, hi, I'm so glad to meet you. My name is Jin from China. Hi, Jin. I have a web and mobile development team, and I am a team leader. Tell me, guys and gals, is this catchy or crappy? I am looking for a great client like me. Oh, Jin, you shouldn't have. I'm so glad to connect with you. I can support you with our talent development skills. If you have some jobs for your business, please contact me. Here's my personal website. Yeah, you betcha. It is crappy. What about this one on the right? Hi, James. Hope you are good. Doing good. Just wanted to mention I work at Blah and we provide accounting and bookkeeping and payroll and reporting and virtual assistants and other back office and offshoring solutions. Is there anything you don't do? If you're open to considering smart sourcing for support of your team, I would be keen to discuss that opportunity with you. Catchy or crappy, guys and gals? I think all I'm just seeing is the words crappy and super crappy. Yeah, crappy as, right? Occasionally someone says the one on the right is catchy, but these were both crappy. And the reason why these were both crappy is it's two people pushing themselves onto me rather than pulling me into their world. What both of these messages do is that they fail to answer a question, what's in it for me? Now, this is the universal unspoken question in the mind of your prospects, whether they say it out loud or not, whether they're reading your email or they run into you at a networking event, at the back of their mind, they're always thinking, what's in it for me? And both of these messages, like most of the messages that come my way, fail to answer this specific question. All right, the final one. Thanks, James. We should catch up for a milkshake. Now, these both came from a guy called Phil. How's your diary looking for this side of Easter? Phil wants to catch up with me for a milkshake. In fact, I'll have about 45 minutes to spare at 9:45 tomorrow at Ridges in Exhibition Street before I go to the airport. If by any chance your availability, the opportunity is there, who's gonna schlep across town to go meet Phil for a milkshake? Yeah, it's crappy. It's so crappy. Now, Phil, again, a nice guy. Maybe he's got forward in life because he's lucky. Lucky, Phil. But no, you know what? It's way too hard, Phil. You're making this just way too hard for me. And I don't have the time or the attention. Now, Phil was also unable to articulate the what's in it for me and the purpose. So I'm thinking at the back of my mind, what, you want me to get in a taxi, drive across town, meet you so I can get a milkshake so you can sell me on some opportunity? No, thank you, Phil. Bridget says worse than crappy, it's delusional. All right, so most people go through an evolution. and they start off with the B&P phase. Now that was a lot of B&P, begging and pleading with a smile. The next evolution is called the AWP. And the AWP stands for an appointment with purpose. And that's when you name and frame your meeting to articulate the value that it is going to deliver to the person that you are going to meet. It's almost like productizing your meeting. Now, it's not the same as having a discovery session or a breakthrough call or a clarity call. It's more than that. It sounds like something that somebody would pay for. So a discovery call, I see that really common. And about 5 years ago, that was a really sound strategy. But you know what? I hear that and I think, what, you want to book a call with me so that you can mine me for data and information so that you can sell me harder. I'm not interested in that. Or if it's a breakthrough call, what's the breakthrough that we're going to have? I mean, like, you can say to 100 people in a room, you know, you got 100 people in a room, you could say, who wants change? And they'll go, yeah, I want change. Woohoo! And then you say, who wants to change? Ooh, change? Change is scary. I don't want to change. No one wants a breakthrough because they don't want to change. Now, an AWP is when you name and frame your meeting as if it were a product. The evolution from that is something called a power offer. And I'm going to give you an example of that in just a moment. So Troy says, I was on the phone talking with a potential client about the strategy sessions we offer to prospects normally for free. As I went through your formula, breaking it down into outcomes, things, and feelings like you teach, suddenly I realized that if I offer this meeting for free, I'm going to sound like an idiot. So when he asked how much the session would cost, I plucked a number from the sky, $1,600 for the strategy session, and ordered that. He immediately said yes. And that's how we now do business. We now get paid to pitch, and the quality of clients has vastly improved too. He broke it down into outcomes, things, and feelings. He framed it, he named it, he plucked a number from the sky, and the person said yes to a meeting that he was normally giving away for free. Did you catch that? He now gets paid to pitch. So this, guys and gals, is your next participation bonus. Woohoo! On the side of the screen, you can see a paid to pitch planner, and that is going to help you name and frame your AWP and transform your vague and boring invitation to catch up into something that people desperately want to get their hands on. Because one of our goals today is to help you book more meetings using systems and improving your soft skills. And if you want to improve your soft skills, what better way to start than having a clear agenda or focus or structure or an outcome-driven call? If you want this participation bonus, say anything right now. Say, I want to get paid to pitch, or just write paid to pitch, or just P2P. Woohoo! Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, Tanya. Now, if you haven't stepped up and typed something out or said something yet, you better get onto it. Hi, Peter. You better get onto it, because your opportunities to get involved and get more from the training, to reinforce the lesson, to make it more likely that you'll actually leave this call and take action. Wouldn't that be amazing? So that you can create some momentum and then create some more momentum. That would be awesome. Good to see some new names leaving a comment as well too. So most people start at the B&P. A tiny number of people graduate to AWP, and then an even smaller number again graduate to the power offer. The power offer is something amazing. The power offer is when you say what it is that you offer or that you sell, and people immediately go, yep, I get it. And not only do I get it, I want it. So let me give you an example of that. 16 VIPs in 6 weeks. 16 meetings with very interested prospects in 6 weeks. Is that something that you would want for you in your business, in your world right now? 16 VIPs in 6 weeks? Yep. Yes, you bet. That is clear. It articulates the value of what somebody might get if they sign up for that particular thing, which is the definition of a power offer. So this AWP concept is a really cool thing. There are a couple different advantages. Number one, it's easier to explain the value of the meeting when you can articulate the purpose. The purpose is usually articulated in the name. So for example, we offer a B2B funnel mapping call. The target audience is named B2B. The outcome is named funnel map. And then we call it a strategy session and transform it into a thing of high perceived value to our target audience. Now, I had a strategy call with someone yesterday, and they were offering your first 100 days mapping session and roadmap for business coaches. That there's an example because it names the target audience, it names the outcome, and it uses a thing word. But most importantly, the purpose is articulated. Second, you get a much better show up rate. You know, if people know why they're showing up and they're vibed, they show up. They bring their business partner. You know, it's a different dynamic and it's so cool. But the most important thing about shifting from the B&P to the AWP is that normally when you're having a conversation with a potential client, a future customer or client, you jump on the call and you say, how can I help you? And they say, here's what I need. Wrong. If you've clearly named and framed your meeting and it's structured in a way where it's deliberately designed to deliver a specific outcome, the call doesn't begin that way. It doesn't begin with, here's what I need. It creates an environment where you are guiding the conversation. You are the boss of that call. You are following a structure. You are taking your future customer and client to a logical destination. So rather than here's what I need, you begin the conversation with, can I ask you some questions? If you ask the question, so how can I help you? They say, here's what I need. You get to the end of that particular conversation and you say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll put together a proposal that outlines some of the ways that we can help you based on what you think you need. And then you pull together that proposal and you send them that proposal, and then you cross your fingers and your toes and you keep an eye on your phone and your email account. And I really hope that they say yes to that proposal, because it took me half a day to prepare it after the call that we had. You know what? If you're in charge of the conversation and you're taking the person to the logical destination, you get to the end of the call and it's not about here's what I need or here's a proposal. It ends with here's what I recommend. And it's a completely different dynamic. Here's what I recommend. I've got 3 options for you. This option, this option, this option. Based on our conversation today, I think that those are the best 3 options. But you know what? Out of those 3, it's the one in the middle that I think is going to be the right one for you. Here's what I recommend. Let's position you as the prize. Now, Naomi went down this path and she became an AWP Master. Indeed, we even have begun to engage Naomi to run some of our AWPs because she's so good at them. But when Naomi came into our world, she was a freelance copywriter and she was taking on projects for chump change. She was selling time for money and she had no way to scale. I mean, like, she told us a story once about how she got the phone call that someone said, can you come see me? She traveled all the way across town, ended up in somebody's living room. And at the end of the day, these people had a $500 budget. She traveled across town, all the way across town, to discover that these people had a $500 budget, went home again, and she still took on the work because she needed the money. But she came into our world, she acquired target audience clarity, reframed her offer to reflect actual needs. She packaged up her service as things, and she began to attract better fit clients who valued her services more. She built a waiting list, she doubled her rates, and then she doubled her rates again after her 3rd AWP. She was only on her 3rd AWP, and she's thinking, like Troy, if I don't come up with a higher number, I'm going to sound like an idiot. She says, I went through the process you teach. I renamed my AWP and I restructured my offer. Not only did I close the next 2 sales calls without an ounce of sales pressure, I made a record sale for my business. I doubled my rates. It was my biggest client spend ever. Woohoo! Welcome to the 1 hour mark. We are at the halfway point. Here's what I want to hear from you. Are you having fun? Are you having fun? I'm having a lot of fun. Are you having fun? And more importantly, are you getting value? Because I want you to observe something really quickly right now as we move into the 2nd hour. You came here to learn about a bunch of different things, selling by Zoom and how to pull together a B2B application funnel. And in doing so, I began to introduce some other concepts to you straight from the outset. Indeed, I also introduced the idea of North Star metrics, decision clarity. I told you my little story regarding George. Not only am I helping you and your business from a bigger picture perspective, have you noticed that I'm selling by Zoom? So there is often a method to the madness, right? This is layered. This is meta. There are layers within layers. And I'm going to come back to some of the things that I've been doing and share with you what I've been doing and how I've been doing it. Yes, and great fun. We're having fun and getting value. Thank you. Yes, value. Or I would have left. Thank you, Tanya, for your honesty. So we have talked about the offer. What about the systems? Now, this is Matt. Matt says, I wanted to say thanks. I'm sure you know how hard it is to get something like what I am doing off the ground. Matt had a startup, no audience, no nothing, no track record, especially while trying to raise 3 kids and earn a living on the side. I've scored a radio interview, secured 2 marketing partners and 19 clients. Now I need to get the business up and running, right? He didn't even have a business and he signed up 19 clients. Now, how did Matt do that? Now, we shot a video with Matt and he used an interesting expression. He said, I was muddling along. Now, I'd never heard that expression before. I was muddling along, M-U-D-D-L-I-N-G. But I imagine it's like walking through mud, right? Ugh. Can you imagine that? Walking through mud. He said, it felt like it seemed like I should be making progress, but I wasn't getting anywhere. With Matt, one of the most important things that we did is we helped him out with the systems, because systems equal sanity. And once again, we come across people and we enter their world and we say, what's working? What's not? What are you doing? What's keeping you busy? And there's a lot of people out there that live in a world of chaos, jumping from one thing to the next thing. They're too busy to do this, so they don't start it, or they're too busy or they start something and they're too busy to finish it, and they're jumping from one thing to the next thing. It's why I started with the idea of the North Star metrics, to give you clarity so that you could focus on what was important. Chaos is not where we want. This is, let's call this chaos Kathy. We want you to get to a point where you have a high level of decision clarity. Or as Andre said, rather than just rethinking the marketing of the business, these guys force you to reimagine how you do business, or more correctly, how you can do what you do better, cheaper, faster, smarter, and save time. Follow the steps, do the exercises, don't think too much, just do it, and you'll be richly rewarded. Because if we are playing the B2B game, if we are selling outcomes that are high ticket and decisions are built from a foundation of trust, we need to acknowledge that B2B sales and marketing is a complex thing. It's very different, as I said earlier, to selling a $9 umbrella or a cheap plate of sushi. Indeed, there are many steps in the B2B sales and marketing process. On the screen right now, you can see the holy grail of sales and marketing in B2B. Yes, you need to attract an opportunity. Then you need to pre-qualify that lead. Then you need to book an appointment. Then you need to elevate anticipation. Then you need to host the meeting. And if the meeting goes really well and you get a tentative yes, you need to follow up. And then if you follow up and it goes well, you need to close. And that's where most people think that it all ends. But no, that's not where it all ends. And that's because people come into your world still with a little bit of post-purchase dissonance, maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse, a little bit of doubt, which means that you need to get them to a point called first win, where you deliver value. Once you deliver value, the onboarding process is complete, and then you have a happy and confident client or customer that's not going to second guess or question you at every step of the way. And of course, that there looks somewhat like a funnel, doesn't it? Of course it does. This represents the top of funnel, tofu, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel, tofu, mofu, bofu. We love our acronyms, particularly when they help things be more memorable. Now, in the history of sales and marketing, this entire funnel, or this entire process, was largely managed manually. Yes, it was largely managed manually by someone just like you that was doing everything on their own without systems or without automation. And I still know that there are people on the call right now that are trying to manage this entire process using nothing but their email inbox and maybe an Excel spreadsheet. You cannot play that game any longer. And that is because everybody else in your space is moving on. Automation equals freedom, right? So on the left is a system, because systems equal sanity. But once we have our system, we need to embrace automation to streamline the process. Yes, because automation equals freedom. Systems equal sanity. Automation equals freedom. So what I want to share with you is what I think is the most important tech building block if you're pulling together a system. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see something called our recipe roadmap. And this is the process that we use as part of a broader B2B application funnel to book more meetings with very interested prospects, whether somebody is coming into our world as an inbound lead via social media or search or partnerships or ads or just by our website. We want to take them on a journey, whether it's an inbound, whether they're responding to one of our emails or engaging with us on social or referrals. We want to have a response to that. I introduced the concept, the ultimate online transaction. And that there is the final step in the journey online for someone like you. It is ultimate because it's the final step. It's online because it's digital. And it is a transaction because transactions can be measured. That's very important. Transactions can be measured. Now, the reason why we have these systems is because, as I said, there are a lot of steps in the B2B sales and marketing journey. Or as Google discovered when it produced its 0 moment of truth report, the average B2B deal requires, are you ready? 11 touches, 7 hours of interactions across 4 locations. And that's just way too much for the human brain, right? We want to simplify it. We want to break it down in a way where people can follow a sequence, something like this. They might engage with you on social media. They might opt into your world, maybe complete a diagnostic before deciding whether or not to book a call with you. We want to engage with them via email if they come into our world. Maybe they opt in for a free gift or report. We want to tell our story. We want to remind them that we are commercial. We want to take them on a journey which is going to lead to our ultimate destination. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. As a bare minimum, completely automated. But the piece of the puzzle that I really wanted to highlight right now is this bit on the right. And that is having some sort of tool to book the meeting, an online booking tool. It blows my mind when I hear that a business in this day and age has not yet embraced the concept of an online booking tool. This is a tool where somebody can book time with you. You're not, hey, book a time with me. This is where they are booking a time with you. And the tool that we use is a tool called B2B Dash, because it's not a single feature tool like Calendly or Schedule Once or Time Trade. It's a tool that we can use to collect the lead, pre-qualify the lead, book the meeting, elevate anticipation before the meeting, all that cool stuff. So let's just think about this for a moment, this online booking concept or idea. Now, somebody wants to book a time with you. This was the old way. The old way is they want to book a time with you, or you want them to book a time with you, or you want to book a time with them. And you say, hey, when's good for you? And they say, oh, well, I don't know, when's good for you? And you go, oh, Tuesday. And they go, I can't do Tuesday. And you go, oh, okay. They say, what about Wednesday? And you say, I can't do Wednesday. And they say, I can only do Wednesday. And you go, okay. So one, that is a time killer, right? That is a huge time killer, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. 2, it's an authority killer or an ego killer. You've built up all this goodwill and credibility and authority and all this awesome stuff. And then you find yourself negotiating over a time and all your power seems to fritter away, right? The other reason is that a lot of people, when they do this, they manually book the time, they do this, they fail to follow up, they fail to send them a reminder, it gets messy, they stand up. But the worst thing of all is that then they fail to track it. So if I said to you right now, be honest. If I said to you right now, I want to know how many meetings you booked with very interested prospects last month, could you tell me? How many meetings did you book last month with a high degree of accuracy? Could you tell me? Now, some people can. James said 18. I'm sure that you're using a booking tool, James. Tom says 2. Debbie said 2. Matt says 0. Fair enough. All right, what if I asked you how many meetings that you booked this month last year? Or how many meetings you booked last quarter? Now, unless you have a tool, you cannot answer with any high degree of accuracy. And the reason, and as who was it that said, Mr. Drucker, can't remember his first name, said you cannot improve what you cannot measure. If we're talking about North Star metrics and you know how many meetings that you need to book in any given week or any given month, how are you going to monitor and track your progress? All right, that there. So I think as a bare minimum, you're going to need some sort of booking tool. In addition to that, I highly recommend having some sort of count up or countdown email sequence. So what that means is that when somebody books a time with you, we want to be able to elevate anticipation before the meeting. People say, can you help me prepare for the call with the prospect? Sure, I can help you do that. But do you know what I can do that's a little bit better than helping you prepare for the call? What can we do to prepare them? All right, so that when they arrive on the call, they're fired up and ready to go. Right? So what are some of the things that you could do in the lead up to the meeting that are going to elevate anticipation before the meeting? They're going to boost show up. They're going to reduce the number of postponements or cancellations. You don't want people to ghost you. You want people to show up totally vibed and enthusiastic and ready to go. What are some of the things that we can do before the meeting? Well, of course, we can send them some email reminders. And I'm going to highly recommend that you send them a confirmation and a 15-minute reminder, maybe even a 1-hour reminder, or a 24-hour reminder, or a 48-hour reminder. What are some of the things that we can put in these emails? Guys and gals, if we want to elevate anticipation before the meeting, what are some of the things that we can do to elevate anticipation before the meeting? What is something that you can put in one of those emails? Guys and gals, this is a workshop. Let's do some work. Alejandro said survey. Love it. Survey says checklist. I love a checklist. I love a survey. I love a triage form. I love a diagnostic. Did you notice that word that I used? Naming and framing is big in our world. Don't call it a survey. Call it a diagnostic. Before we catch up, I've pulled together this little diagnostic that's going to help us have a better quality conversation. And indeed, it might even diagnose some of the challenges that you have in advance. A diagnostic answers that question, what's in it for me? Whereas the survey takes, a diagnostic gives. What else could we give them? Infographics, says James. I like that. James, by the way, you're leaving messages for only hosts and panelists. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Same with you, Christine. Christine said testimonials and results. I love it. Case studies. Case studies, testimonials, social proof. That's awesome. Someone said infographics as well too. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to use the word roadmap. If you can explain to somebody the roadmap or the process that you are going to take them through, they arrive on that call fully informed. Now, we have a 3-email series that we send out, and it's amazing. We jump on the call and they're like, they know the terminology. They've already been thinking about the strategies and the concepts. They're totally fired up, which allows us to deliver amazing value on that particular call. Hey, guys and gals, I'm introducing something new now. You're familiar with my participation bonus. This, guys and gals, is our sticky bonus. It's our sticky bonus that we offer at the 1 hour 15 mark of our 2-hour session today, right now, because we know that there's a whole ton of people that like to leave at the 90-minute mark. So this year is a sticky bonus. And this is what you get for sticking around to the very end. And this is a wonderful thing called our Tofu, Mofu, Bofu roadmap. And it breaks down the entire client acquisition journey from the top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, and all the systems, tech, and ingredients. And it includes things like 3 roadmaps. It includes like links to, I think it's something like 11 videos. But get this, it's got 18 email templates. So you're thinking, well, what will I send as my third email in my elevating anticipation countdown sequence, right? We will give you email templates. That there is our sticky bonus. And our sticky bonus today is something that we normally sell, but it is yours for free. All you need to do is participate. Barry said, roadmap, gold. James says, I love a good template. Bridget says, awesome. Absolutely awesome source. Now, if you have not yet participated, and if you stick around, you're going to get the sticky bonus. I've got a really, really easy way for you to participate. This is a pop quiz. A pop quiz. Are you ready? Have you been paying attention? Who do you think is most likely to consistently close more deals? And the question here is, and the key word here is consistently close more deals. Have you been paying attention? Have you got an idea of the gist of the way that we think and do things? Who's going to consistently close more deals? The fearless and seasoned sales professional without a system for sales and selling, or the sometimes shy, often awkward, reluctant seller with a system to refine and follow? I think that we are all in agreement. I am looking at a lot of people tapping out the letter for B. Jamie says, B for sure. That sounds like the name of a band, B for sure. Why? Well, of course, because natural sellers naturally over-rely on their own skills and talent, which is cool. They have an advantage. But at the same time, they have ups and downs. Yeah, some days they're feeling motivated and confident. Other days they don't. And when life gets in the way, they can't recruit others to do their job for them because they don't know how they do what they do. They're naturally relying on talent. And they are more likely than the sometimes shy or often reluctant seller to fail to follow up, which is, of course, an important part of a system. Systems equal sanity, but of course, that pop quiz is a very neat and elegant bridge into soft skills. Robin says, your strategy has been delivering leads to our business on a continuous basis without us actually going out and actively hunting those leads down. That's cool. We've seen these leads translate into sales. I'm talking about several $100,000. You go through a process, putting a system together, you put a lot of thinking into it, and then it just works, and extremely quickly, then it works again and again and again and again, again and again. When it comes to sales, most people are usually very up and down. We know our rates, we know our metrics, we know how each of our key sellers is going to perform on any given day of the week. And one of the things that makes us a little bit different, that I think really helps us stand apart and above the rest of the crowd, is that we rarely, if ever, deal in scripts. Occasionally we do to help somebody get started, but otherwise we don't like scripts. Do you know what we like as an alternative to scripts? Frameworks. We absolutely love frameworks. Scripts feel awkward, they feel artificial, they don't seem authentic at all, and they often don't match your style of thinking or talking or expressing yourself, okay? Whereas a framework will allow somebody to step in the role, leverage their natural strengths while also applying a script to get them to the next level. Now, we have a tool that we use called the one call close formula. Now, when I say one call close, it sounds very aggressive. You're going to get to the end of the call and you're going to lock them in. No, the purpose of the one call close formula is to get someone to a point where they have clarity. Your job as a salesperson is to transfer that certainty, that clarity, that confidence to the buyer. And at the end of the call, they've got a pretty good idea whether they're going to go ahead or not. It's either a yes, I'm in, I just have to sort out the finances, or I just have to speak to my business partner, or I just have to do what it is, or they're like, nah, that's not within my reality right now. And you can say, fair enough, and you can let them get on with the rest of their lives. Because there's nothing worse than a maybe that drags on forever. We want a fast no or a fast yes, preferably a fast yes. So we have a framework that we use. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of the framework now because there are about 12 steps in this particular framework. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into 4 chunks. And these 4 chunks, I'm just going to give you some bits and pieces of some of the most important aspects of each of the chunks. Do the best that I can in the limited amount of time that we have together. The first piece is the discovery and framing piece. So when you get on the call, it's your job to position you as the authority, but you also need to capture a little bit of data about that person as well too. So for example, most people get on the call and they say, how can I help? Right? Who's the boss in that situation? The prospect. They are going to lead the conversation from that particular point. But if you can jump on the call and say, okay, great that you're here. I have 4 questions that I like to ask to give this conversation some structure and purpose. Do you mind if I run through those 4 questions? Would that be okay? And if they say yes, you are now the natural leader of that conversation. And the person that you're speaking with is immediately going to feel relieved. Okay, we have another question. All right, I want you to imagine that it's 6 months' time from now. You look back and you think, man, I totally crushed it. We call this the champagne question. I want you to think back. I want you to think forward 6 months from now and you look back and you go, totally crushed it. You're feeling so confident, you go out and you buy a bottle of champagne or a block of chocolate, you knock the top off that bad boy and you celebrate because you totally crushed it. You totally nailed it. How will you know when it's time to knock the top off that bottle of champagne? So it's another example of a question, which in this instance, not only are we framing ourselves as the authority and the leader of the conversation, but we're gathering some data here. So the person says, oh, here's what I want to get to. Here's a third question. All right, so if that's where you want to get to, what's going to slow you down or get in your way? What are your obstacles or roadblocks? Now, in that 3 particular sentence structure, you position yourself as a leader, you discover where they want to go, and you discover what's stopping them, which means that you can naturally position yourself as the bridge to help them get from A to B. Cool? Discovery. The next piece is that you need to be able to deliver value, which is why we have the appointment with purpose structure. All right. It's not let's catch up and explore ways that we can work together. It's why would you like to book a B2B funnel mapping strategy session? Cool. It's very, very important that you deliver value. So on the right here, this is a worksheet that we use for the discovery and framing. We use this piece to deliver value. So let's get into your business. And we usually make 3 recommendations, 3 tips, actions, observations, recommendations, and the person is thrilled and often have breakthrough moments. Then we switch to something which is often the trickiest bit, and it's called, are you ready? It's called the turn. And the turn is when we have to shift from delivering value to introducing our product and service. But that becomes very easy if you've already delivered a little bit of value and you understand the bridge. So you can say, all right, so let's just recap. I know that you are here and you want to get to here. Would you like me to suggest some ways to shorten the gap? That's a really simple way for the bridge. And then at the end, we finally make recommendations, usually 3 recommendations, so that the person so that we can put our prospect in a position where they can say, you know what? I want that middle one there. That is the one that I want. Now, offering 1 solution gives people 2 options, yes or no. Everyone's always got a yes or no option, but if we can offer 2, it's an either or. 3, we can use framing strategies to guide the person into the direction that we want that person to take, which is the best option for them. It's not sleazy sales practices to try and lock someone in to get them to buy something that they don't want. It's about making the recommendation so that they buy the thing that's most important to them. And why does this all work? Having this framework structure, having this AWP structure, having the systems to get them vibed and fired up. They book the meeting. They know why they're doing it. Well, of course, it's easier to sell that meeting, right? Sell the value of the meeting. You get much better show up, as I said before, plus buyer readiness. Gee, it's so different. You get on a call and they're like, sorry, why are we doing this again? To, hey, I'm on the call. I've brought my business partner and we're ready to make a decision today, right? But the most important piece that I'm talking about here is that a lot of people think that selling is scary. right? They're intimidated by selling. But you know what? If you can frame your sales conversation in a way where you are not selling, where you are serving, and you get to deliver value up front, that is the best way that you can lift the confidence, transfer the certainty, boost the clarity. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. We have people that have come into our world that are terrified of the sales conversation, and now they look forward to it every week because they know that they're going to make somebody's life just that little bit better. But the best thing about this of all is that through this process, you are positioning yourself as, I might write this a little bit differently. You are positioning yourself as the prize. This is the opposite of how most people go into sales. They go in with a convincing mindset. In this particular scenario, you go in as the leader, the authority, you become the prize. Here's what I want you to do. Use the chat tool and write, I am the prize. Out of all the things that I've asked you to do today, I believe that this is the second most important. Type, I am the prize. What I am doing here is I am future pacing. I am forcing you to imagine a world where you jump on that call and you are, I am the prize. Now that you've written, I am the prize, see what you can do to try and feel like I am the prize. Our brains are made up of chemicals, and we need to turn off some chemicals like the fear chemical, and we need to turn on other chemicals like the dopamine chemicals. And if I can help you start to do that right now, I can start to help you train your brain for those future scenarios. Now, in a minute, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to get more involved in our world if you're interested in that. And when I do, I'm going to offer a sign-up bonus to a limited number of people, just 5. And that sign-up bonus is an offer review and tech audit with the one and only Johnny B2B Inglesos, who is our lead B2B funnel mapping specialist. He's also my business partner. The reason why I would like you to pay attention right now is because most people have a crappy offer. If you can have a conversation with someone like John, he can not only review your offer, but often it becomes a rate review, and he can guide you on how you're structuring your rates. The other part is the tech audit, where sometimes it's as simple as you're using this tool and you shouldn't be, you're not using this type of tool and you should be, and often Johnny will save you some money while helping you boost your rates, and you get to see how he does a sales call in the process. It's an amazing experience. I said that this was a little bit meta with layers upon layers upon layers, and that's another example of that too. So guys and gals, I've spent a lot of time guiding you and instructing you and explaining, sharing a bunch of different things that I would like you to do. Things that I would like you to do. But however, there are also a bunch of different ways that you are likely to mess up. Are you prepared to acknowledge that? That there are ways that you are likely to mess up. I've been sharing different things for you to do, but however, in about 32 minutes, we're going to wind up and we're going to go our separate ways, or maybe you might be joining us and becoming more involved in our world. And I don't want you to go away and mess up. So the most likely way that you can mess up, are you ready? This is what I don't want for you. Hello, there was a fire alarm, I think there. Here's what I don't want for you. I do not want for you to do nothing. All right, I don't want you to do nothing. And it happens all the time. People attend a webinar, they attend a conference, they spend $10,000 on a 5-day offsite and mastermind, and they take copious notes and they get all inspired and fired up, and they go away and they do nothing. That's not what I want for you. That's one of the reasons why people mess up. Here's another thing that people do. They do one thing. They do one thing and they don't follow through. I don't want you to do one thing. I want you to be creating momentum in your world, doing the things that are going to be the most important impact-driven things. We call them RFA challenges, ready, fire, aim challenges, sometimes task attainment. And these are the things that create momentum. Momentum creates more momentum, and then awesome things happen. because the space that we are operating in most of the time is not linear. Most of the time, it's not linear when you're running a business. If there was a simple path, like an A to B path that we all could follow, every entrepreneur would be rich beyond our wildest dreams. But actually, most of the time when it comes to business, it's not linear, not normally. So what happens is you jump on a call like this and I say, hey, you should have an AWP. And you go, yeah, I should have an AWP. So you rush away and you start to pull together an AWP. And as you're pulling it together, you go, you know what? This is a problem. I don't have target audience clarity. And if I don't have target audience clarity, it's going to be really hard to come up with an angle. So you go away and you come up with some target audience clarity and you go do that. You go, that's great. So I've thought about my AWP. I've thought about the target audience. Already I'm beginning to think about the type of packages that I could maybe offer on the call, value selling. But as you move forward, you begin to realize that some of the people that are booking the call are the wrong people. You need some sort of triage process, which is part of your systems, maybe an automation tool to do that. So you start to pull that together. But as you begin to do that, you begin to realize that maybe you didn't have as much clarity as you needed, as you thought you did. You need to chunk down your offer. If you can chunk down your offer, you can pre-qualify people in the right way. Indeed, you can elevate anticipation before the meeting. But that's also really hard if you're not familiar with your objections, because you need to know your objections so that you can include them in the elevation anticipation sequence so that when you get on the call, everyone is fired up. So you start to handle the objections and you realize that your packages are all messed up. Your packages are actually creating friction. You thought your packages were making it easier for people to buy, but they're creating friction, and you don't want friction, you want flow. And you realize that the packages are, well, if you can do them the right way, you'll de-risk them. If you can de-risk them, it makes it easier for people to buy. Maybe I should do as James said and have 3 options that I can operate. But if I can't do that, if I'm not clear on my audiences and I'm not getting enough AWPs, but now I'm getting caught up in the objection. So I need to review my triage form again. Then I'm going to go over here. Then I'm going to go 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 here. I almost knocked over my whiteboard. Running a business is not linear normally. Here's what I would prefer. I would prefer you to do something like this. Tackle one bit, tackle the next bit, tackle the next bit, and move more so in a circle and improve what you need to do. Now, the structure on the screen right now is the structure of something called our pointy end training program. And like all our programs, it is designed to help you get to your destination with the least amount of moving parts. I want to help you think less. I want to help you put in less work. I want to help you coast, something that no teacher has ever said to you before in your life. So this is the structure of our pointy end, the training program. And you know what? I would like to give some people on this call today, I would like to give them access to this program for free. Yes, indeed, as a bonus for something that I'm going to introduce in a moment. Would you like the pointy end for free? I'm sure that you would. The pointy end is one of our 3 mastery training programs, and it's broken down into little chunks. Like all our programs, we call it task-otainment, so that you can follow the steps in a logical, progressive path. Or as like LaDonna said, I walked away from each lesson with a piece of the process completed. Most training I have attended are more theoretical. I've been poking at this stuff, but lacked structure. Thank you, James. The value of this course far exceeded the cost. So I've been talking about things that I want you to do. I've been talking about things that I don't want you to do. And by now you're probably thinking, yeah, these are the sorts of things that I do want to do. And I said that there are 2 things that I thought were going to be the most important decision that you can make today. The first one, as I said, was to type the words, I am the prize. The second one is this. Guys and gals, I am thrilled to announce and invite you to get involved in our program, 16 VIPs in 6 weeks. Would you like to book more meetings with VIPs, with very interested prospects? Would you like to start doing it quickly? Do you perhaps suspect that you need to re-engineer your offer to get people to meet with you? Do you need to embrace systems to automate and accelerate the process? Do you need to totally level up your soft skills? Do you sometimes feel uncomfortable? Do you want to start getting outcomes quickly in the short term? And this is important, while also making your business stronger over the longer term. Guys and girls, I'm going to spend a couple minutes introducing you to our program, 16 VIPs in 6 weeks. And Kim has just said, yes, yes, yes. But before I do that, I've got a question. So what I could do right now is I could run through the nitty-gritty. I could run through the outcomes, the things, the feelings like we teach. I could introduce the structure, how it works, introduce any bonuses that we might have, and what the next steps are likely to look like. These are all the nitty-gritty, and that's how a typical pitch or an introduction to a newer product or service usually works. Or I can skip directly to the investment. And I quite deliberately use the word investment because our programs are designed to make you money and or save you money, and preferably both. Indeed, we always have a money-back guarantee with any of our training programs. We call them our Let's Stay Friends money-back guarantees, because if our programs are not quite what you expected, or if your circumstances change, you can request your money back within the time frame, and we get to stay friends. So this is a serious question, guys and gals. This is a bit like a choose your own adventure game. Do you want the nitty-gritty, or do you want the investment? And it's a slightly loaded question, okay? It's a slightly loaded question because, for two reasons. One, successful people love being pitched to. Are you aware of this, right? Successful people love being pitched to. The most successful people that you meet always love a good pitch. The rest of us, we have to learn to love a good pitch. We do. We have to learn. And if you go to a poor part of town, someone tries to pitch something, stay away from me. I might have to change my life. You go to a more affluent part of town. All right, you got 30 seconds, pitch me. Right? Successful people love a good pitch, which is one of the reasons why I love webinars, by the way. I love doing webinars. I love participating in other webinars because usually there's a pretty good pitch. So that's a question. Once again, nitty-gritty or investment. The other thing is that I want to bring up, the reason why I brought this up is that I've seen the word investment appear at least once. It seems that there are a bunch of people sitting on the fence here, right? Is that I am actually going to go direct to the investment. And it's breaking all the rules of sales and marketing. But one of the reasons why I'm able to do that and switch straight to the investment is because we have devised a power offer, 16 VIPs in 6 weeks. It clearly articulates the value that somebody is going to get. Now, I, of course, can't promise that someone's going to get 16 VIPs in 6 weeks, but that is our goal. That is our intent. That is our specific name. And as I said, worst case scenario, you get a better quality offer, you get better systems, you get to level up your soft skills, and your business is stronger in the longer term. But this is something that we call the commander's intent. We all know why we are doing it, and its name itself is packaged up as a power offer, which allows me to skip pretty much directly to the investment without the nitty-gritty. Now, it would be negligent of me not to give you the nitty-gritty, but I can skip straight to the investment because I know that there's a bunch of people on the call right now that when I share the dollar figure, the cost, the price, the damage, right, as some people say, but it's not. It's an investment designed to help you make money or save you money or both. I know that there's a couple of people that are just going to say, yeah, I'm in right now. And those people, as I said, are going to unlock something pretty cool. And this is a limited bonus, limited to 5. It's an offer, review, and tech audit, and it's pretty amazing. So what is the investment? Well, there are 3 different ways that you can work with us. The first is something called the Momentum Club. And the Momentum Club is $9,600 upfront. Everything that we do is in USD. And then $997 a month for 12 months. And with the Momentum Club, we strategize, we build out all the fundamentals, create all the different building blocks, and then we support that business for 12 months to really dial it in and make it amazing. 9,600 USD, followed by 997 a month. That is our Momentum Club. Now, I know that when I said that dollar figure and I dropped it, a couple of people on the call, their butts clenched, didn't you? Oh, I can't afford that. That's not within my reality. Now, guess what? The Momentum Club is amazing value for the right type of business. If that's not within your reality, it's not the right option for you. Now, we also offer standalone training programs. And I introduced one of those standalone training programs to you a moment ago. It was called the Pointy End. And the Pointy End is about how to close better quality clients at the pointy end of the deal. We have other standalone training programs like the Recipe, that's about the top of the funnel. And we have another one called Selling at Scale, which is about scaling up your business. And once again, these are amazing programs. We sell these for $1,997 USD per course, per unit. And we've been selling those programs for years. And we have testimonials that go on forever for people that went through that and got amazing results and are really thrilled and happy as a result of doing it. So there are some people that are looking at the right option going, yeah, a little bit beyond my reality. Other people looking at the second option going, yeah, I saw what you were talking about, the pointy end. That looks pretty cool for something like me. But today we're talking about something different. We're talking about 16 VIPs in 6 weeks. This is our program. This is our program. And it's very specific. It's very obvious. The detail and structure is very, very clear. We get outcomes for people like John here, who says, I got 73 leads via LinkedIn, 12 meetings booked, 2 sales of my core product, and I have 2 more decisions pending. I did that in 2 weeks. That's what John says. You know what? He didn't do it in 2 weeks. He spent 6 weeks setting up what he needed to have in place so that he got 12 meetings in 2 weeks. And if you're interested, at the very end, I will share the exact tech stack that he used to make that happen. So what is the investment? Is it $9,609.97 a month? No, it is not. Is it $1,997 USD? No, it's not that either. Are you ready? It's 1 payment of $1,500 or 3 payments of $500. Cool? It's that simple. 1 payment of $1,500 or 3 payments of $500. And if you're interested in that, here's where you need to go. https://b2b-io/16 VIPs. And if you're interested, or even just want to express your interest, click that link and you'll be greeted by a little online form. And that little online form is going to ask you some important questions. And that is because we don't want just anyone in our world. We are not the type of business that's going to take on anyone with a checkbook and a pulse. Right from the outset, from our time together, I was weeding people out right from the beginning. Can you remember that when I talked about the type of business? I talked about the incoming VIP. I talked about the North Star metrics. We want to make sure that this is right for you. So I have some questions for you. Is this right for you? The first one is, are you in B2B? Or are most of your products and services in the B2B space? Or is this a direction that you want to go in? Because you can see that there's a lot of money in the B2B space. You want to go from selling $9 umbrellas to unit packages of $1,009 umbrellas? I don't know. Maybe you've got a complex product or service and you've been selling in the B2B space and you want to shift B2C space, you want to shift to B2B. Is that you? That's the first check. And that's what you'll find on the online form that you will find on the other side of that link. The second question is, are you a business owner? This is not a deal breaker, but we do prefer to be working with the business owner. And what we often find is that the business owner might sign up and then they might bring in 1 or 2 key staff members. But it's this next bit where it gets a little bit more important. How much is a client worth to you and your business in the first month? So if you've clicked that link, you'll have answered, are you B2B? Yes. Am I the business owner? Yes. How much is a client worth to you in your business in the first month? What is the dollar value? Now, I know that for most people, it's going to be more than 1,600. Yeah. 1,600 plus. We talked about that. If it's less than $1,600, you probably don't need to be having a sales conversation over the phone. And you might be interested in signing up for our training program, The Recipe. But if it's over $1,600, write down on a piece of paper what that number is or use our online form. If you know the dollar value, and I've just chosen 1,600, what is the typical close rate for a meeting? So once again, if I say it's something like 1 in 4, and we look at those different things and we go, okay, 1,600, 1 in 4 is my close rate. What would 16 quality meetings therefore be worth to your business in the next 2 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months, over the lifetime of your business? Well, if I got 16 meetings and I was able to close 4 and my dollar value was $1,600, what's that? Times 2, 3,200, times 2 again, 6,400. What I'm doing here is I'm forcing you to undertake an ROI evaluation. I'm compelling you to consider the return on investment. As I said, there's layers here, guys and girls. And what I will say is that most people are going to be in a slightly different situation to this. They might turn around and they go, you know what? My product is actually $3,000. And my close rate is actually really, 1 in 3. And then these numbers change up again. My maths brain's not smart enough to do the maths. But 1 in 3 out of 16 works out to be about 5. 5 times 3, it's a pretty big ROI. 15K. Every business is different. And as I said, we can't make any promises. All I can say is that we've created a structure designed to deliver some very specific outcomes. And we've got a really solid track record. So I was just doing something. I was talking about ROI, return on investment. But you know what? ROI is not what prompts people to make decisions. Do you know what prompts people to make decisions? The COI. Does anyone on the call right now want to tell me what COI stands for? Does anybody know what COI stands for? Have a go if you want to have a guess. Because COI is super important, and it's very important to be aware of the COI in your industry. Thank you, David, Amanda, and James. COI stands for cost of inaction. And cost of inaction is not only powerful from the perspective of introducing your future customers and clients to why they quite possibly need you, but COI drives me. It drives my passion. And I want to share with you a little bit of a testimonial that came from a guy called Marcus. Marcus said it was 3 years ago that I set myself the goal to do one of your programs. I even wrote it on my wall calendar. That year passed and I didn't follow through. The next year passed and I put it off again. This year I finally bit the bullet. It's now been just 6 weeks since I started your training and 2 amazing things have happened. I'm now working with clients who pay me more, a lot more, 7 times what I was charging. And I've also secured double my usual projects. I'm kicking myself that I didn't just take action and just make it happen all those years ago. So Marcus, we're talking about 3 years. 3 years. And if I was talking about the ROI and I said, okay, well, let's say as a bare minimum, you went through our training program and you were able to make an additional $1,600, $100 above the price point. What if you're able to make that additional dollar figure every month for a year? All right, something near $20,000 or over 3 years. Now, Marcus, we're talking about, he began charging 7 times what he was charging and he doubled his rates. When Marcus came into our world, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, he was struggling. His business was struggling and it was doing his head in. Now he's one of our strongest advocates. So the COI is super duper important. And this little diagram represents where a ton of people on this call are at right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out your next 12 months. All right, I'm going to map it out. This is what we call our focus and progress matrix. When focus goes up, progress goes up. When focus goes down, progress goes down. And let's just say that this is 12 months. This is the next 12 months of your life. This is the way that people do things. They get excited about something. Woohoo! And their focus goes up, so their progress goes up. But then they lose focus, so their progress goes down. And then they get a little bit lost and a little bit overwhelmed, and then something else comes across their desk and they get focus again. And then they get distracted and they lose focus, and then they gain focus and they lose focus and they gain focus and they lose focus. And that there ends up being a typical year. Is that familiar? So what that means is that there are times of the year where you are feeling totally vibed. You're totally motivated. You're totally excited, and things are working out really well for you. You've got focus. You're making progress. But then there are those times of the year where it does not feel like things are going right. And you're feeling a little bit lost and feeling a little bit dejected, and you don't know what to do, and you're feeling a little bit stuck, and it's awful. Now, there is a typical 12-month year. In our world, here's where we try to help you. We want your world to look a little bit more like that. Sure, in the beginning, when you come into our world, there's a little bit of catching up to do. James is introducing concepts that might be a little bit unfamiliar to me. And there might be a little bit of catch up where you feel a little bit of overwhelm, but you are increasing your focus. And then over the rest of the year, or the next 6 weeks, or the next 10 weeks, you get focus. And when you get focus, you make progress. And that is because you have decision clarity. So once again, here is the slide. Here is the link that you need to go to, b2b-io/16 VIPs. And it is the second of the 3 times that I am going to be showing this particular slide. If you want to take action, please do so, because we have something called rewards for the proactive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the nitty-gritty, and then I'm going to introduce rewards for the proactive. I'm going to answer that question, what's in it for me, by saying, here's what you get, and then running through the 3 outcomes and some more that this training program was designed to deliver. Are you ready? Number 1, let's name and frame your offer in a way that people are going to sit up and they're going to pay attention, and they're going to go, I get it. I want to book time with you. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't it be even better if they went, not only do I want to book time with you, but I want to buy your product, because I get it. Most people are stuck in a state of friction. They're trying to spend all their time trying to convince clients why they should be working with them. No, if it's obvious, they will take action. Let's go from friction to flow. Stop setting up those stupid barriers. This is what I mean when I talk about friction. This is John here. He stopped trying to be a jack of all trades. He got target audience clarity. When he got target audience clarity, he stopped trying to sell something super vague. Funnel analytics. Oh my goodness. What the heck is funnel analytics? Hey, let's catch up and explore ways that I can help you with your funnel analytics. He switched it up to something very specific. More donations for not-for-profits. He stopped trying to sell massive projects, and he introduced a smaller audit as a smaller step. Yes, that's right. A power offer. And what happened to John? He said, you gave me a great tip with selling audit as the core product, then retainer for continuity. I've got 2 clients since the call. These were businesses that had been dragging their feet for months. But he reframed it. He came up with a power offer and got himself a fist pumping moment. So stop setting up those stupid barriers. Go from friction to flow. Number 2, systems to streamline, or as Ben said, in the past, I would get an information from a prospect saying, please call me. I had no information about that prospect. Now I get a full list of their email, their website, how much money they're making, whether they're making profits, what they want to do with their business. My phone hardly rings anymore, but I get 4 times the amount of inquiries per day. I now have to refuse coffee meetings unless they book a 15-minute teleconference. And then it's a 2-week wait to get to see me. I have too much work on. So I would like to help you address some short-term needs while setting up for long-term success. Now that testimonial came from Ben a bunch of years ago, before COVID. Now he doesn't meet people in coffee shops. Of course not. He does it all via Zoom. Radical transparency alert. If you do not have the systems to manage and automate your build-up and follow-up, you'll always remain stuck relying on brain power alone. You've probably got a big brain, a powerful brain, but it's usually not powerful enough. If you ever plan to get out of the hamster wheel and scale, you need to embrace those tools and the processes to get that stuff out of your head. Or as Rob says, I'm loving it when a prospect has gone through my funnel and they're pre-sold before I even talk. We met Naomi a little bit earlier, And what I want to say about NAMI is that NAMI is embracing a revolution. According to McKinsey and Company, management consulting behemoths, 81% of B2B decision makers don't want things to return to the way that they were pre-COVID. They have a preference for remote or digital sales. According to McKinsey, that's what 81% of senior B2B decision makers are feeling right now, which means that 19% are desperately clinging onto the past. I don't want that for you. I don't want you desperately clinging onto the past, trying to sign up scaredy cat clients. Embrace the future and get better quality clients without slipping into obscurity and obsolescence. We just posted this in our Facebook group yesterday. Just did the one call close formula training. Brilliant. Great breakdown of a decision call that is non-salesy. Brilliant and non-salesy. All right. Your offer, your systems, your soft skills. What about filling the top of the funnel? Do you think that that's important? Boosting your base? As part of this training, you're going to get access to 2 different training methods. One of them is LinkedIn, or as Linda says, in the last 5 days, my connections have more than doubled. But more importantly, your strategy has generated me a new client. And if your clients are not on LinkedIn, we're going to focus on Facebook, where we have a training program called the EEK method. And I got a message from someone yesterday or the day before. I'm trying to remember this person's name. I think it was Angela. Angela got 50 new leads in about a 4 or 5 day period applying our EEK method. I introduced you to John Wycard a little bit earlier. Johnny, who said, I got 73 leads via LinkedIn. They could have just as easily come from Facebook. 12 meetings booked, 2 sales of my core product, and I have 2 sales decisions pending. Why? Because leads always come before sales. And it's important that I include that as part of the training because I need to give you everything that you need in my power to help you succeed with the training. Buyback just said 50, 4 or 5 days. Whoa, yeah. And it's not outrageous. It's not unusual. We had a woman called Louise come in just the other day, came in with a comment just the other day in one of our group mentoring calls. And she set up our EEK method on LinkedIn and let it go over her most recent vacation. She went vacationing in an alpine region and came back to find 49 new leads had come into her funnel. But what is, guys and gals, the most important outcome of all? And Louise's story is a good segue into that because Louise went on holiday. She used an automation tool. She came back and she had close to 50 new opportunities in her world. What's the most important outcome of all? The thing that I can give you? I wiped a tear from my eye just then. I get emotional when I talk about this. A lot of business owners are stuck in a wheel, spinning, never going anywhere. Time. It's the most important outcome of all. We've only got a limited amount and how we spend it is important, which is why I am absolutely so appreciative that you are still here as we near the 2-hour mark, because what's the most inefficient use of your time? Time spent worrying or waiting or second guessing and not knowing what to do. Our training programs, as far as I'm aware, are the most time efficient structure available to humans on this planet right now. You get access to live group mentoring, self-paced modules, online workspace, video tutorials, templates, virtual butt kicking that you love, peer learning. But the main thing is that you will get outcomes, big outcomes, and one of those big outcomes is time. So as I said, I was going to share this with you one more time, and this is the 3rd and final time that I'm going to be sharing it with you. b2b-io/16 VIPs as we enter the 2-hour mark. All right, guys and gals. I said that I was going to end with a game changer. This is a strange one. People spend a lot of time trying to sell vague packages, very, very vague packages. And they really stop to consider that there are only really two things that your customers and clients want. They want outcomes, results, output, and they want to do it with the least amount of input, effort, time. But however, if you were to take a step back and analyze how you are managing and servicing your clients right now, the reality is that most people live up here. They put in a lot of effort. Yeah, they put in a lot of effort and they deliver some pretty good outcomes. That's fine. It's a way to make a living. It is, it's a living. You know, you can grow a business this way. You can buy a house this way. Maybe even get a holiday house and a boat this way. But the only way that you can grow, if you need to put in more effort to get outcomes, is to hire more people. Where is the worst place to be? Probably in here. You put in a lot of effort and deliver some pretty crappy outcomes. That's not where you want to be. And if you've got clients that are not sticking around, it's probably the amount of effort that they need to put in to get the outcome. But it's also shitty for you if you have to put in a lot of effort. What about this one down here? Good place or bad place? Low effort, low outcomes. It's actually a good place. This is called pre-selling. And today I've been delivering pre-selling. I've been giving you amazing outcomes for a 2-hour free workshop, amazing outcomes. But the effort for me is very small because I can speak with hundreds of people simultaneously, even record it. So it's cool. It's called pre-selling. But you know what the best place to be? The best place to be is here. Yeah. Where you are delivering amazing outcomes with very little effort. And that usually comes down to how you have structured your product or service. You don't have clarity around your target audience. You don't have clarity around your offer. You don't have a power offer. So everyone that comes into your world gets something different, and that makes your life difficult. Here is what we do. And I have some rewards for the proactive. Here is what we do. We encourage you to chunk down what it is that you do so you have a core offer, and then you can break off some of those extra other elements that you can provide maybe as a reward to get someone across the line, a sign-up bonus, an incentive for somebody to work with you. So as I said before, we've got a limited bonus for the first 5. And if you get the opportunity to have a call with John, not only will he help you look at your technology and review your offer, but an offer review usually ends up being a rate review. This is Sarah. She came into our world as a generalist marketer with a vague offer. We helped her specialize. She became a wine marketing specialist. She was charging $500 on average per client per month. We helped her increase her rates to $2,400 per client per month. That's a 500% increase. If you are able to break down your offer, embrace the power offer structure, and focus on things that are high outcome, low effort, you can also offer things like a free money back guarantee. Now, if you're on the webinar right now, I'm going to extend this to 60 days. And the reason why I'm going to extend this to 60 days is because I know that there are a couple of people on the call right now that are on the fence, maybe because you've got a business partner or a life partner and you're not quite sure. Here's my recommendation to you. Take the action, get on the plan, book your call with John. And then on that call, you can decide whether or not this is right for you. And if it's not right, we'll refund your money. Worst case scenario, you get an amazing strategy call with a guy called John. Even better, I'm going to throw in this. This is called a no matter what ultimate B2B funnel fillers reward for the proactive. I'm going to give you our LinkedIn for lead generation training, our strategic alliances and partnerships training, our network reactivation training, our closed loop advertising training, our website lead generation boosters training to get you more leads at the top of the funnel. That's 5 standalone courses. I'm going to give you this as a bonus. And even if you ask for your money back, you get to keep that bonus forever. I've completely de-risked it for you. Why and how am I able to do that? Because if you come into our world, we encourage you to chunk down what it is that you do and frame it in ways that your customers and clients actually want. And that there is a little game changer, because a lot of people spend a lot of time selling things or time when really all your customers and clients want are outcomes. So thank you, guys and gals. We've hit the 2-hour mark. I may have gone 1 or 2 minutes over, but I want to thank you at the bottom of my heart. Is that the expression? To the bottom of the heart? From the bottom of my heart. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for deciding to spend a whole 2 hours with me. And I know that it's counterintuitive, to spend time to get better at what it is that you do. But as I said before, time is the most important thing. If I can help you avoid a mistake, and in doing so, I save you time, this is extremely well spent time, is what it is. Because time is compounding. If in the next week, because you come into our world, I can show you a way to save 2 hours in every week, you can free up those 2 hours to join our group mentoring, to work through the 16 VIP stuff. And as you work through, we'll show you ways to save 4 hours a week, a half day a week, which compounds, which frees you up to find other ways to save time and get better outcomes and secure better quality clients faster. Babak says, yes, save me time. Half a day would be nice. So we have officially hit the 2-hour mark. And if you've got to get on with the rest of your day, please do. If you want to go to b2b-io/VIPs, please do that. I always do like to set aside an additional 15 minutes or so just to answer any questions that anyone might have. I also said a little bit earlier, I introduced John, and I said, if you're interested in seeing the technology he uses, let me know and I can give you a complete tech teardown. If you are interested in John's story and a complete tech teardown, I can show you that, or I can just answer some of your questions, or you can just get on with the rest of your day. All right, this is interesting that I'm talking about time. Margaret, is that how you say it? Margaret, M-A-R-G-R-E-T, has left a private message, and she says, how much time will it take? Well, my answer for Margaret is, it's interesting time. When people say, how much time does it take? People who ask that question are usually caught in their own hamster wheel. They're running in the hamster wheel. It's just spinning, and they're not getting anywhere particularly fast. The only way you can get out of that hamster wheel is deliberately assign maybe 2 hours a week, maybe 4 hours a week to focus on ways to improve your time. We have a structure that we share with our clients. Are you ready? You can audit your time and then evaluate what you do in any given day and ask yourself the question, should I automate, delegate, or detonate? I do this once a week. I evaluate my time. Should I automate? Should I delegate? Or should I detonate? And I do that once a week. And every week I save myself some more time and I become way more efficient. Now I'm being asked questions privately, it seems, and that's perfectly cool. Thank you for the thank yous, by the way. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the thank yous. You make these events so much more special and fun for me. When you guys and gals are engaged, I feel fired up and passionate. So I really do appreciate that. But that is one way to save money. So Margaret, how much time will it take? Initially about 2 hours a week. Yeah. But the funny thing is that if you can free up other things, you might end up, instead of spending 2 hours a week working on your business rather than in your business, you can get to a point where you're spending half a day working on your business rather than in your business, which compounds to a full day of working on your business rather than in your business, which compounds to 2 days working on your business rather than in your business. You can see how we go. I also saw an observation. It was much earlier, and I can't remember who said it, but it was a question about technology. And the person said, what technology do you use? I struggle with technology. Now, we have used and recommended a whole lot of different tools over the years. There are so many wonderful tools out there. In our world, in our business, we have our own tool that we've spent 5 years building, spent over $600,000 on this particular tool called B2B-.io. And we designed it specifically for B2B business operators just like you. It does 90% of the heavy lifting. The top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel. You can use it to capture leads. You can use it to triage. You can use it to book meetings. You can use it to create email sequences to get people to book the meeting or elevate anticipation after the meeting. You can use it to take the money. You can use it to onboard. It's really, really cool. But what I will say is that technology just keeps getting easier and simpler to use. You don't have to use our technology. There are many, many tools out there that do different pieces of the puzzle. And as a bare minimum, you're probably going to need some sort of meeting booking tool, some sort of triage tool, some sort of way to collect the lead, and some sort of email autoresponder tool. But the technology shouldn't freak you out. They just keep getting easier and easier and easier. If you want to check out B2B Dash, just go to b2b-.io and you'll see an overview of how that tool works. Now there was a third question. What did I see? Most questions, get this guys and girls, as I said, this was going to be very, very meta. So what I was doing is I was teaching how to sell by Zoom while selling by Zoom. The difference was rather than doing it as a one-to-one, I was doing it as a one-to-many. And you may have noticed that I also followed our formula. There was a discovery piece at the beginning, and then I added value, then I did the turn, then I made my recommendation, right? We did it. But when it comes to objections, they usually come down to time, money, and ability. So that tech question was really about ability, isn't it? I'm not sure I got the tech skills. Time is time, money. Well, you've just really got to ask yourself, I mean, like, how important is the growth and development of your business? If I knew what I know now 20 years ago, oh my goodness, my business would be different. Think about it this way. When is the best time to grow an apple tree? If you want a nice, cool glass of apple juice, when is the best time to grow an apple tree? 20 years ago or today? So I wish I'd started growing my apple tree 20 years ago, but you know what? I had to discover and learn all this stuff the hard way initially, like most people. It took a bunch of years. And then I began to figure it out. And then I began to realize the power of investing in my own education. Now we spend about $3,000 a month on our own education. I remember many moons ago, when I was running Anthill Magazine, and I would have been in my 20s, so a kid. Apologies to anyone in their 20s on the call, but I was a kid. And I wanted to raise money, venture capital, for my business, the business magazine. And a guy called Tom McCaskill was running a course. I've still got his book somewhere. But he was selling this course for $3,000. Oh my goodness, $3,000. That was so much. Anyway, I actually maxed out my credit card. I'm not saying max out your credit card, but that's what I did. And I bought his training, $3,000. Over the next 3 years, I raised $725,000 for my business. I raised $200,000, then $300,000, then $225,000. So that $3,000 investment, in the next 12 months, I raised $200,000. Couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it. All before Kickstarter. Absolutely. Couldn't have done it without Tom and his training and my decision to invest in myself. There's also a funny quote by a guy called Derek Bock. I think his name is Derek Bock. And he's he's a former president of Harvard. And here's what he said. If you think that education is expensive, try ignorance. Right? Or as my business partner, John Iglesias, likes to say, you're going to pay either way. You can pay for some training and accelerate things, or you can not do the training, lose opportunities, undercharge, waste your time, or just do things in expensive ways that you didn't need to do. Like the number of people that come into our world that like have a $3,000 a month HubSpot license. My goodness. Or the people that have just spent, $20,000 on a website they don't need. You know what? If you're a small business, let's say you're turning over less than $300,000 a year, you don't need a website. All you need is a LinkedIn profile and a B2B application funnel, which is probably a good way to segue into John Weikart. So I told you his story before, getting good outcomes. So he came into our world. He began to work through this particular process, and he reframed his meeting. He suddenly called it a power-up strategy call. In 45 minutes, we will work through a proven 5-part formula, right? Sounds like a product, doesn't it? Name it, frame it as a product. And that's what he did. Indeed, he had an opt-in gift on his website, and then he redirected people to the booking, and he did that using B2B Dash. That's how we started. We shared with him our base boosters and our funnel filters. And he came back and he said in our Facebook group, our private Facebook group, we've got an amazing community. He said, so I delivered messages to 50 people on LinkedIn 9 hours ago. Since then, 7 people have contacted me through LinkedIn, 6 people have downloaded my ebook, and 1 person booked a meeting with me. So he was stoked. Somebody booked a meeting with him. What a breakthrough. Then a little bit later that night, I got an SMS at 8:48 p.m. Now, I do not appreciate SMSs at 8:48 p.m. And obviously, I don't hand out my mobile phone number to anyone, but he just texted, she ordered. I was like, what? Yeah, baby. The one meeting that he had, she ordered. Thanks. Couldn't have done it without you. She came from LinkedIn. I said, what? It's been a rapid journey. What, 6 weeks? Then he came in with another one, a new client. Woohoo! At which point I said, John, break it down. And that's when we got that wonderful breakdown. How did he do it? How did he do it? He did it where he offered a free gift. A bunch of people went through that free gift. If they ticked all the right boxes, they were redirected to his booking form. The booking form took the booking. If they didn't opt in, he sent a follow-up message. They took the booking, and then he even used the payment form to go with it at the very end. That's all he did. Really cool, huh? Now, I said I like to stick around for an extra 15 minutes, and my 15 minutes is now over, but people are still on the call. So once again, I am going to invite you to get on with the rest of your day if you'd like to do that. Alternatively, I could go online and show you the process from a technical standpoint, the technology teardown. Now, once again, I don't want you to get all wound up about the technology. All sorts of technology tools can allow you to do this. Some are very cheap. That's the way it goes. Anyway, I'm just going to put in b2b-io/example. This here would be a landing page, how to book more conversations with very interested prospects. Now, this is a high conversion page. And the reason why it's a high conversion page is that it doesn't ask first name, last name, email address. It poses a question and people get started. Cool, huh? I can put in my details and it redirects to something else. I think it's going to redirect to a triage form. Do I qualify for a meeting with John? Fairly seamless experience for someone who's going through this process. And we do recommend that you grab a phone number if you can. Great, almost done. I'm based in Australia. Yes, I do show up for meetings. This is a little strategy. You know, I often share strategies that I don't expect. Rather than say, hey, would you like to book a call? In this instance, we said, do you want the 45-minute call or the 15-minute call? So that there is an either or scenario rather than yes, no. Boosts the conversion. Success, the form submitted successfully. That's good to know. And now I can book a time with John. Now, John is very, very busy because our funnel is kicking butt. So there are no spaces available in the short term for me. There are spaces available much later. And I could pick a time with John and put in my details and book a call, but I'm not because John's busy and I don't want to clog up his diary. So that was real. That there is a tech teardown. But at the end of the day, if I bring this back to the structure that we were talking about and the model, and I bring this back to the very beginning of our time together, because where's the best place to end? The best place to end is indeed at the beginning. I told you a story. I told you a story that was shared to me by my mate, George. And George is very good at simplifying things, whereas most business owners are very good at complicating things. And George told me a story about how to win AFL premierships. And I shared that story with you. What's most important? The offer, then the systems, then the soft skills. All right. One last time, thank you for the thank yous. I haven't been able to get to people's comments. Kimberly, I'm back. Will there be a replay? Send us an email and ask politely. We like to reward the polite and the proactive. That's what we do. Babak, we'll have to get back to you privately. Looks like you've got a whole lot of questions. Could you tell me how the $500 per times 3 is sold? Oh, okay, $500 times 3, once a month for 3 months. 500 times 3, once every 30 days. Cool. Sorry that I didn't make that clear earlier. It's an important thing, but I like it. All right, cool. Thanks, guys and gals. Now, I'm going to have to wind up before I turn into a pumpkin. Have a great day. Have a great night. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being so passionate and proactive. And I want to thank all the people that are still on the call. I see Evans and Roland and Nick and Kimberly and Gerald and Debbie and Paul and Barrow and all these other people that are out there. Paul's raised his hand. I'm not quite sure if Paul's got a question. If you've got a question, last chance or forever hold your peace. All right. Speaking of peace, peace out. All right. Have a great day. Have a great night. Switch it off for now. And welcome to the people that joined. So I can't see how many. I just got a message from Simon that said it's clearly working. So welcome to the people that joined. Remember that we have these rewards. We have rewards for the proactive. We have the pointy end training program, normally $1,997. Now I want you to have that because it's going to help you narrow down your offer, okay? It's going to help you do some amazing things at the pointy end of the deal. All right, we've also got that strategy call with John. I don't know how many of those are still left or if any of those are still left. If that's something that's important for you, let us know and maybe we can, squeeze his arm or something like that. But 5 over a week or two is a big time demand for John, so we can't be too pushy. I'll ask him after the call because I did see that question. What was another bonus? 60-day money back guarantee. That's huge. I mean, like, where else have you heard 60 days? Let's stay friends, money back guarantee. If it's not what you expected or your circumstances change, you let us know. And it's done. That's amazing. That's only if you are here on the call. And that's rewards for the proactive. It's limited to the next 60 minutes. All right, cool. And you'll see that when you go to the page and you check it out. What other cool things did we do? That's right. We had all the funnel fillers, 5 funnel fillers. LinkedIn, strategic marketing alliance and partnerships, network reactivation, ads, humming homepage, all that cool stuff. And then finally, thank you, Nick. Where is the sticky bonus? What about the participation bonuses? We're going to be sending you them via email in the next 24 hours because it takes a little bit of effort for us to figure out who's who in the zoo and who deserves what. So yeah, well done, Nick. You get the sticky bonus because you stuck around for the 2-hour mark and beyond. So well done, you. All right, well done. Have a great day. Have a great night. Welcome to all the people that are now a part of our world. We look forward to supporting you to the best of our ability. We have a saying. A lot of people say, we offer customer support. Yes, so what? We offer customer support too. But you know what's more important than offering customer support? Making your clients feel supported. And that's our mission. Doesn't always work out that way, but more often than not, it does. And for those people that have been part of our world for some time, they know it. There's a vast difference between customer support and feeling supported. If you're not feeling supported, if you're feeling a little bit stuck, or if you're feeling a little bit confused, As I said, the worst case scenario, if you take the next step, jump on the payment option, next payment doesn't come out for another 30 days, book the call if it's still available. If it's not available, reach out, shake your fist, right? We'll do our best to make it happen. Then you can have that call, you can have that discussion, maybe get that little bit of extra clarity, refine your offer a little bit, maybe even improve your rates. Do a little bit of a tech audit with your business. Figure out whether do you even need any of the bells and whistles? You might not need any of the bells and whistles. One thing that I will say though, is that systems equal sanity, automation equals freedom, and community equals clarity. And I would love for you guys and gals to be part of our community. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Have a great night for wherever you are joining us in the world, even if you're watching a recording. It's been my pleasure to serve you today, to support you, to guide you. And thanks once again for being so passionate and proactive. Bye from me, bye from my team, and it is bye for now.